Question 5A is: a student holds a golf ball and a tennis ball from a tall building. Both are leafed at the same size, same time, and both have the same size. The golf ball has a greater mass, and one of the balls reaches a greater terminal velocity. 5AI is asking you to state and explain the acceleration of the golf ball immediately after it is released. So for this, the acceleration of the free fall equals the gravitational field strength, which is 9.81 meters per second squared. Because the only force acting on the golf ball is weight. You can also add in that the drag force is 0 for the second mark, instead of weight being the only force acting on the object.
The next question says, by referring to the forces acting on the golf ball, explain what is meant by terminal velocity. The most important thing is that you actually refer to the forces and don't just mention velocity being maximum, or the net force being 0. It needs to be the maximum velocity when the drag equals the weight.
For the next question, it's asking you to explain which of the two balls reaches the greater terminal velocity. So the golf ball has a greater drag because it has a greater weight. This means it accelerates for a longer time. The greater drag means that the weight has to equal it. So it's proportional to speed, so it will have a greater speed. So meaning it will have a greater terminal velocity.
For the next question, it asks you, the lorry has a mass of 8,000 kilograms, its engine provides a constant forward force of 3,200 newtons, and to calculate the acceleration of the lorry when travelling on a level road at a speed of 25 meters per second. For this you need to work out the net force, and for that you need the drag from this graph, which, as you can see, is at 25 is 2 kilonewtons, which is 2,000 newtons. So it needs 3,200 take away 2,000, which is 1,200. It needs to be the net force. Make sure that you don't just do the forward force without the drag force. And the acceleration is F over m, which is 1,200 over 8,000, which is 0.15.
For the next question, you have to again look at the graph and see that at 40 meters per second the drag force is a lot higher. This means that the drag force will be greater than the forward force, so the lorry cannot travel at speed of 40 meters per second.
The next question is describe and explain how a seatbelt reduces the force on a driver during the impact of an accident. And because the seatbelt stretches during a crash, the distance travelled while stopping by the driver is greater. This means that because the kinetic energy that needs to be transferred is equal to the work that needs to be done, and work done is equal to force times by distance in the direction of the force, the work done is the same amount, and if the distance is greater, then the force must be smaller to get to the same amount. It can also be done by acceleration, because the seatbelt also increases the time over which the speed is changed, and acceleration is the change in speed divided by the change in time, and F equals ma, so bigger acceleration and the same mass, smaller acceleration and the same mass means a smaller force. When talking in terms of car safety about seatbelts, don't mention pressure. Whilst it's not technically incorrect because the area does increase, the mark scheme doesn't want it, especially because it says reduces the force and not the pressure.